Hello, everybody, and welcome to Professor's Research, a Pokemon TCG Pocket podcast hosted by me, Spragels, the content cowboy, and the one and only Godsley. Today, we are going to be talking about Ranked in this video. Ranked is going to be coming to Pocket very, very soon. While this video comes out, the moment it launches, there is a sister video on Godsley's channel, so please head over and check that out where we talk about some of the best cards in the new Triumphant Light set. Let's get into Ranked right away here, dude. The announcement from Pocket is ranked matches arrive at the end of March. I know this is something that we have been talking about a lot as a community. What are, just initially, what are your thoughts on ranked coming to the game?
Well, as a, nerdy deck list creator, it's my main form of content on my channel. I am excited because it just gives you another reason to play the game, which is what I try to provide for the community. Is I make deck lists for them to log on and try for fun every day, but this just gives motivation. I know a lot of my friends that I've talked to, I think I've mentioned this maybe in one of our other episodes, have complained about they'll hop on, they'll open their free pack for the day, and then they'll hop off, and they won't touch the game again until the 5 win streak event comes out or something like that, and then they'll play for a day or two, get that done, and then for the rest of the month they're gone. So I'm very excited for it. Now, obviously, there's a couple of concerns that come when you think of ranked in any game, but I'm sure we can get into that. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's weird, right? I actually don't know that the game needed a ranked mode. That being said, I was pretty sure that a ranked was eventually coming to the game, and we will talk about some of the pros and cons of having a ranked mode. I'm with you, actually. I love making tons of different decks, and ranked actually, in some ways it makes that better, and in some ways it makes that worse. So let's talk a little bit about ranked and how it could work in Pocket, because one thing we don't know is what this ranked system will be. There are lots of different ranked systems and tons of different games out there, and a lot of games will have you climb in a ranked system, and the higher your rank will start to have you matched up with higher and higher ranked players, and then eventually you will kind of reach either your skill limit, or you will reach perhaps how you want to play's limit as far as you will go, and that's where you will settle on in a ranked ladder. Pokemon could do this in a few different ways, because another game that I cover, Pokemon Unite, their ranked system kind of feels like it's set up to be that way, but also you just kind of continue to gain ranked basically the more you play. Because its matchmaking isn't perfect in that sense. So the more you play, the more you will inevitably climb ranked, which is a possibility in any ranked system. Is just it's really set there for people who want to grind, right? And as we talked about with decks earlier, one thing that's cool about a ranked system is you start to play people who are more and more competitive and take the game more seriously in a competitive sense, but also you start to play more and more of the same stuff because people start to recognize what becomes meta, and you actually do get to lose a little bit of that deck variety that you see. I was playing a match on stream the other day. I don't remember what my opponent was playing. It was something where I thought, and I said, you're never going to see this in ranked. Whatever it was. Yeah. I was like, this is a really cool deck my opponent has right here, but you're never going to see it in ranked, because you just can't. If you're trying to climb and you get punished for losing, which many ranked systems do, this one may or may not, but if you get punished for losing, you will never see players running really ridiculous stuff, because it just won't be consistent, So I do think that's an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I come from a game called COD Mobile. It was another mobile game, and I think it had probably a similar elo system to Pokemon Unite, where it was more casual. To just the more you played the game, you would just naturally rank up, because you lost fewer points than you gained if you won.
Yep.
So if you played enough, you're just naturally going to rank up, which I think I wouldn't even mind that. I mean, some people might not like that because they want to only see the very best decks in the top rank, but I think for a casual game like this, that's fine. I think, if anything, what they should do is put a leaderboard for the top 1,000 players per region or whatever. So if you really want to be known as the best, you have to play a lot, and you actually have to have a high win percentage. So that could be nice. But if you want to hit that top rank and not forced to be playing the top meta decks, then a system where it's somewhat not punishing for losing could be good. And I don't think I would even mind seeing that. Also, it depends what rewards they equip to rank, because I know a lot of people, at least in my comments when I talked about this briefly, were like, we don't want pay to win rewards locked behind that or anything like super cool, because a lot of people don't have the time or don't want to play the meta deck to push up to the top rank. So we need to see how they also distribute rewards based on how high you can climb too.
Yeah, rewards are one of the tough things, right? It's weird because I think one of Pokemon Pocket's biggest strengths is it's not requiring you to log in and play for an hour every day. You know, then there are a lot of games that they want that full commitment from you as a live service game, that you need to log on every day, you need to complete your dailies, you need to play 5 games with Mewtwo in your deck. Like, they want all of this from you. Yeah, they want that retention. And the cool thing about Pocket is they have actually sort of designed their game to have big moments of excitement, and then you are spending the rest of your time like, yeah, you open your packs, you log on for the event, you do some wonder picks and stuff like that, you build kind of like your card collection, and then another new set comes out and there's like a huge pop of excitement. They are very intentionally building that into Pocket. So I do have to wonder, given that they've built Pocket that way, how do they want players to interact with ranked? Because if there are rewards that take a long time to get, you're actually fundamentally changing the essence of this game in a massive way, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we just got to see what happens. But speaking on positives, because I don't want to get too into the negatives, which there could be some, especially like the way it warps creativity with people playing decks and stuff like that. And it might even change our content completely. But other than that, I think the good thing about it is it might create more of a solid community. Because, I mean, we do have a good community right now. Thank you guys for watching. But I really think that having people who are way more invested into the game, you can kind of build something. We can kind of build something off of. And, I mean, a lot of people are already really invested in the tournaments. But having something official just creates a sense of community that I feel like this game is not necessarily lacking, but isn't the same in terms of when you compare it to some other games where, of course, it's more retention focused. But our community feels like they kind of go in and out depending on, like you said, the big drops or the big bursts of excitement. So it's not consistent. Consistency and having a nice community is good. Also having people have a reason to play different deck lists. I mentioned this at the start. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I overall, I'm trying not to put my bias in it, but I think ranked is going to be great for the game. I think ranked keeps games alive.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, ranked really keeps games alive. The fact that, you know, Call of Duty Mobile, if you guys don't know, is a mobile game that was released in 2019, just a mobile shooting game. And what kept that game alive for so long was its intense ranked community. And that's what happens for a lot of other games too. When there's something competitive, it kind of, certain people, now this is obviously Pokemon, but it drags something out of you to where, like, you know, you want to get better, you want to play a lot, you want to watch content. When you watch content, you maybe join a Discord, you get more involved in the community, and it makes things stronger overall. And I think it's good for a lifespan of the game as long as they handle it correctly, which is what we're worried about and talking about right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, I fully agree with you, by the way. I also don't want to be only doom and gloom about ranked, because while I think there are issues with it, this is just true of any ranked system. It's true of anything, right? When, if I remember playing StarCraft back in the day, and StarCraft.
Dating yourself.
Yeah, I know, right? StarCraft, I was playing StarCraft 2. I remember playing StarCraft. I think it actually was StarCraft 2, like on ladder.
Yeah.
And I would get to a point where you really started to have to refine your skills to a huge degree, because you are not going to climb any further unless your pylon timing is exactly right and your units are coming out exactly when they need to. You know the flow of the early game. Like, you simply cannot climb. You cannot push further. You're going to be stuck in gold or whatever it is if you just can't, you know, learn that mechanic. And you're right, it creates an energy around it where you're like, well, the people who want to get better, they want to learn, they want to get better. better. They want to become more involved. They want to, as you said, like watch content, join a Discord, talk to people about their strategies, watch video tutorials on exactly how they could play a sequence better or something like that. So I do think it could create a very dedicated player base. I also think one thing that you touched on is something that I hear players talk about is there aren't enough reasons to play, right? You'll hop in, you'll open your packs, you maybe play a battle, but we're very used to, as gamers at this point, like having sort of that thing you're chasing, you know, the carrot in the distance. You're like, I have to keep going. I need to play 10 battles because I want to reach the Ultra Ball rank in Pokemon Pocket, and to do that I need to grind some games out. So it gives you an incentive to play, and I think there are a ton of players that are going to benefit from that. The biggest thing that I'm excited about with ranked is to add a ranked mode to this game is essentially an acknowledgement that they want this game to have a competitive aspect. And if they want this game to have a more competitive aspect, that means it is increasingly likely that we will see official support for the game in like tournaments, like Worlds and things like that. I think you wouldn't add a ranked mode without at least the idea that we could see this on the Pokemon World stage at some point. And also, I pray that with a ranked mode, we will have some way to spectate games, because that opens it up in such a massive way. I know, dude, right?
So many community events and tournaments could be hosted so much easier, because right now you have to like have people screen share in Discord, you have to spectate them, you have to everyone has different devices, you have to resize every time you spectate someone different. It's like a whole big deal. I'm not going to get super into it, but like having every other game. Also, this is another thing I said right when I started playing this game was every card game I've ever played has had some kind of spectating mode. It's insane to me that like you can't spectate, so you can't watch your friends' games or set up like private events with a group of people and just like host tournaments or something. It's like, it's mind-blowing that they didn't add this till now, but I promise you I'm predicting right now they have to be adding it, right? Like, there's no way. And if they have in-person events, it's gonna be really fun too. Maybe you see Jake and Godsley in person on stage.
Whoa. I mean, dude, I honestly think it would be huge. And the last in-person Pokemon event I was at, they did like 3 things with Pocket. So they had TCG people who are really well known in the community playing Pocket in kind of an event. They had people like talking about Pocket in some interviews. I think there's a lot of excitement around this game, and I think ranked is like the first step towards getting it to the point where we could see it in that format, which I think would be huge. I would love to see this in some sort of like big competitive setting. I think you absolutely could do it. And the reason I know that it could be in a big competitive setting is because the win rates and things like that for top decks and top players are exactly what you see in so many other games, you know? I mean, for as many times that you like will start a match and get Misty flipped and something like that, the top players and the top decks consistently show out. Ranked will sort of prove that out as well, and then hopefully that continues and pushes towards those big tournaments. I would love that.
Yeah, 100%. And I know a lot of people talk about, this is a good transition here. Yeah. But I think we should briefly mention card balancing and changes, because I know right when people hear ranked, they immediately think this card needs nerfed or this card needs banned before ranked releases. And the number 1 card that people always mention is Misty, because you can win in turn 1. That might not be great for ranked, especially when you're pushing those top ranks and you get like minus 30 points for a loss and plus 10 for a win, and then you go into a match and Misty immediately, and then damn, the last 3 games I played, I just lost all my points for that. So what do you think about how they should approach balancing when rank drops?
Yeah, it's so tough, right? I could imagine a reality, and it's weird because them like deciding to do this actually would dictate the tournament scene and all this. I could imagine a reality where certain cards, for whatever reason, at their discretion, are not available in ranked. Like, for instance, maybe Genetic Apex in general is just not available, or the newest set is not available, or again, specific cards are not available in ranked. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I feel like the way it is right now, unless they completely break the game, I don't know if we'll ever see them balance a card.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think it's either the card is allowed or it's not. And I would be really curious to see what cards they would allow in and they wouldn't. One thing that I always think is interesting, and I talk about this whenever the conversation of card balance and Misty is brought up, even though Misty can do those ridiculous things, it's still, water decks are still not the top deck.
Yeah.
They've never been the top deck. I guess briefly in Mythical Island, like Gyarados.
Gyarados,
right?
yeah.
But in general, water decks have never been the top deck, even though we have that card that, yes, provides an insane amount of variance. They're still not one of the top decks. But I agree with you, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on card balancing, but also your thoughts on this. How do you think you would want them to allocate points and stuff in ranked? Because you're right that once you get to a certain point threshold, if a loss is worth 3 wins, there literally is no reason to keep grinding. You have to stop.
Yep.
Because just given like the nature of RNG, you will lose more points than you win, even if you're playing flawlessly. So I'd love, card balance, but then also kind of like ranked point allocation. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So for card balance, I don't know if they need to do anything. We're seeing Misty kind of phased out right now. I mean, it's an annoying card that you can lose on turn 1, which is unfortunate. But, I mean, what are the odds of them opening with it and then also flipping that many heads? It's being phased out. I mean, a lot of top water decks, they don't even really need to run it anymore. We have so many good cards in the game, they don't have space for it. Like, you need Irida, you need Cyrus, Sabrina, all those. So, over time, we've seen really broken cards just slowly get phased out. And I could never see them releasing, say, in a new set, they release like a new version of Misty that's even better and breaks the game a little bit. The Pokemon Company, in my opinion, wouldn't balance that. They would just let it go.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I don't think they're going to do anything for balancing. I think it's just going to be the way it is. We see the meta gradually evolving, and broken cards that we were complaining about last month aren't really even that relevant anymore. So I think in that sense, you're right. They're not going to do anything, and if you get Misty flipped and lose, then unlucky, rip. But in terms of points and how they balance ranked, it is a very RNG-based game. But I talked about this briefly on Twitter and in some of my streams. I mentioned that we're seeing less and less RNG decks, that are coin flip decks, I should say, in the meta, like Arceus, Dialga. 0 coin flips in that's tier 1. Lucario, Rampardos, no coin flips. Palkia still has Misty. Articuno still has Misty. I mean, Leafeon, Celebi, that is RNG, but I wouldn't even consider it that RNG, because by the time you bring Celebi out, you're going to be flipping like 20 coins. Yeah. So all these top decks now are really not that coin flip reliant, and they're not even releasing that many broken coin flip cards either. I think they're kind of stepping away. We saw that in the most recent pack. We didn't really receive... I don't think, did any of the EXs have a coin flip?
I don't think so, right? I mean, you're right. We're like really moving away from a lot of the coin flip mechanics entirely. I'm trying to think like what the last thing that had a big coin flip mechanic was in some of these EXs. Nothing in Triumphant Light. Was there anything in Space Time Smackdown?
Miss Magius, right?
Oh,
it's like
yeah, confusion.
Well, I guess not really, but you still do 70. You don't need to flip or anything. I mean, yeah, we're moving away from that slowly. So I think it's going to be less RNG based, and we see cards like Leafeon too, where it doesn't care if it goes first or second.
Tongue, by the way. Okay, I was like, something. Oh, yeah, that's licky. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going. I was like, what? There's got to be something. But you're right, by the way, with all the X's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 EXs or whatever, and only one of them had a coin flip mechanic.
Yep. So I think the game's becoming less RNG. I mean, it's still going to be. That's the nature of Pokemon TCG. But yeah, like I said, also people were complaining about going first. It's a huge disadvantage, but now we see cards like Leafeon where if you go first, you get to evolve early, and that means you get to use Forest Breath earlier. But if you go second, you're going to have that energy quicker, and then you also get to use Forest Breath, so you'll get to attack. So I think that we're also going to get more and more strong cards going first, and it'll slowly balance itself over time. So I think in terms of the rank system points, it's okay if they start to punish you when you get near the top ranks, because
totally,
as the game gets less RNG dependent, it's more strategy based, and a lot of the wins and losses will be up to your decision making.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if I were to guess what the rank system will look like, I would guess, unlike maybe some games, I think Pocket will probably more likely, if they tie rewards to ranked, I think they will actually more likely tie rewards to simply participating in ranked rather than actually grinding like to the highest rank. Although, however, if they give you a little icon for it, I wouldn't be surprised. Like if they give you like a little profile thing, I think people would geek out over it.
I doubt they'll give like hourglasses or anything like that for the top ranked.
No, I think that'll just be participation, so people fill into this like ranked queue. Because one thing that's tough is like, you're essentially going to be removing the TCG player queue and turning that into ranked queue, right? That's what you would be doing. And then beginner is just your place to kind of play anything you want. That is going to be interesting. And I would guess there will be a leaderboard, but there won't be any rewards for climbing the leaderboard. That's what I would guess. So the leaderboard is like your bragging rights. You get rewards just by participating, with probably some sort of like reward for hitting their one of their bigger like ranked milestones in the game. The way it works in Unite is you go from like, it's like beginner, great, veteran, ultra, something like that, all the way to master rank. And then once you hit master rank, you are just in this pool where your master rank rating goes up and down, and that determines your world ranking. I could imagine a very, very similar system where you kind of climb through these set ranks and you maybe don't like go up or down, or excuse me, you don't go down too much. But then once you hit the top rank, your points put you on a leaderboard. That's what I would guess. Something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know also if they ever host competitive events in the future, I know the way a lot of card games do it is they'll host like some kind of, I played Duel Links before and they had something called a KC Cup, which was like once every 4 months, and or maybe at different timeline, but it had an in-game event where you play over the course of 2 days, and depending on how much you play and like what your win rate is, you receive points for that, and the top like 5 players from each region just get an automatic invite to the World Championship.
Oh dang, that would be so cool.
Yeah, so something like that would be awesome because it's super easy to, collect players, just have them play online. I don't know, Unite's probably different because it's like 5-man teams. It's a MOBA, right? So you have 5-man teams that needs to like work together. You probably need a coach and everything, and like sponsored by an org. But for card games, I really think you can do it where they have some kind of in-game system where whoever ranks at the top of that gets invited to like, now this is looking way too far into the future probably, but
I know, but dude, that would be so cool.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, I love that idea. You're so right. They could easily set that up. The hard thing would be like, once you get the invite to Worlds, you'd have to like deal with everyone's visa issues and stuff, because that's always like a tough thing with the international Pokemon events. But that would be so cool. I would love for it to work like that. I remember playing an auto battler game that had events like that, where it was like you would queue up in this specific queue over the course of, like you said, like 2 days, and your record throughout that was the big thing you were chasing. Like, how well could I do in sort of that tournament setting? That would be very, very cool. That would be a cool way to get to Worlds. And then I guess my final thought or question, and I would love to hear from people in the comments as well. Anything we've talked about, of course, I would love to hear from you, like what you think about ranked, how you would like to see it implemented, because I do think it's going to be a massive thing for the game. Do you think the advanced ticket is dealing with rank and getting you to like move up a battle or something to get to the next rank?
The advanced ticket.
Yeah, the thing that like right when you started the game, you got that weird mysterious ticket, right?
I forgot about that.
I know, right? I think like it's one of these things, nobody knows what it's for. We got it at the start of the game. It said it'll be used for something in the future, and it's called an advanced ticket. What? I wonder if you would advance a rank. Like, I wonder if like you would use that. You would go like, all right, I'm one battle away from hitting master rank. I want to advance.
Why would they give us that?
I don't know.
Like, so early. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. That's crazy. Yeah, maybe.
I have no idea what it is. They don't tell you what it's for. It could be one of those things that they don't even know what it's for. Like, it's like the people who are writing the show Lost. They were like, who knows what the polar bear's for? But I think it also really could be tied to ranked. I feel like that's very, very possible. So
you're probably right.
I thought I'd maybe bring that up. Like maybe that is what the advanced ticket
That's
is.
a cool callback. And speaking of like win streak, in another card game that I played, in order to hit the top rank, it wasn't elo based. Instead, you had to hit like King of Games, you had to win 5 in a row. In like the rank below the highest rank, you had to win 5 in a row, and then it would immediately like bump you up. But if you lost one, then you would be reset back to like 0 wins.
Oh, okay, yeah. But what happens when you got to the highest rank? How hard was it to stay there?
Oh, you just stayed. You couldn't drop back. So you could play as much as you want once you got there. You could try out whatever deck you want. Once you hit that rank, you got the reward for the month, and then it would reset you back down like 3 or 4 ranks for the next month. Then you just have to do it again, get the reward. And then when you're up there, it's nice because everyone's playing random things because, you know.
Yeah, because it's actually, that's one of the things I hope happens with ranked is you don't want to have no reason to try to win, right? You don't want to like kind of like the queue we have now, like people can do whatever. You want them to be attempting to win, but you also don't want to punish their creativity by making it so if you lose, it's all over, right? So yeah, I hope it has something like that. That would be very cool.
Yep.
But there we go. That's ranked. I don't know what it's going to be like. I know it's going to be big for the game. And again, let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, there is another episode on Godsley's channel right now where we are talking about all of the big cards in Triumphant Light. And of course, we have podcasts from weeks back where we talk about a ton of other things in the game. This has been Professor's Research. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Have a good one.
We did it.